In a world obsessed with instant gratification, quick pleasures, and shallow success, very few men dare to walk the harder path, the one of self-mastery. Yet if you study the men who truly changed history, led nations, sparked revolutions, and built unshakable empires, you'll find one powerful secret embedded deep in their philosophy: discipline over desire. These high-value men didn't just control the battlefield, the room, or the pulpit. They controlled themselves. And at the core of their inner mastery was something society today mocks, misunderstands, or ignores entirely: semen retention. This is not some outdated or mystical concept. This is the alpha blueprint. A system rooted in biology, sharpened by philosophy, and tested through time. Men who withhold from wasting their life force aren't weak. They're the real warriors. They don't live under the control of their urges. They rule them. And that makes all the difference. Most men today are drained, physically, mentally, and spiritually. They scroll endlessly, chase cheap dopamine, and fall victim to their own lust multiple times a day. They wonder why they're tired, anxious, broke, and directionless. They consume but don't create. They react but don't lead. They're leaking energy constantly. Their masculine fire, their inner drive, is being thrown away daily for nothing. What should be fueling their ambition, building their legacy, and sharpening their focus is being flushed out for 5 seconds of relief. And no one ever told them the price they pay. Semen retention is the reset button that most modern men never press. It's the one choice that flips a man from average to a true warrior. Not because it's magical, but because it reintroduces discipline into the most primal part of him. When a man says no to his urges, especially his strongest ones, everything else becomes easier. Suddenly, waking up early is no longer a war. Hitting the gym becomes a must, not a maybe. Building his business or chasing high-level goals starts to feel natural. His energy returns, his focus sharpens, his aura changes. High-value men understand this at a deep level. They're not slaves to their impulses. They make their impulses their slaves. Look back in history. Napoleon Bonaparte, one of the most feared and brilliant military minds of all time, practiced abstinence before his campaigns. Why? Because he believed it gave him strategic focus and power over distraction. He didn't want to dilute his warrior spirit with moments of weakness. He saw sex not as something to be avoided forever, but as something to be mastered. He retained when it mattered, and he dominated the battlefield. Then there's Socrates, the father of Western philosophy. Known for his sharp mind, iron logic, and unmatched self-discipline, Socrates embraced the idea of self-mastery. He believed in virtue over pleasure. In a time when Greek society was indulgent and permissive, he stood firm in restraint. Socrates knew that true power wasn't in chasing every temptation. It was in rising above them. That's why his teachings still shape how we think today. Or take Jesus Christ, a man who didn't conquer with weapons but with spirit. He lived a celibate life, not because he hated desire, but because he chose a higher mission. His focus wasn't short-term pleasure. It was eternal purpose. He preached discipline, purity, and sacrifice. And 2,000 years later, people still follow his example. Whether you believe in his divinity or not, you can't deny the impact of a man who mastered himself. These men weren't weak. They weren't soft. They weren't lacking. They were powerful because they practiced restraint. That is what semen retention unlocks. Not just more testosterone, not just more energy, but more control over your own life. It puts you back in the driver's seat. Modern high-value men are starting to rediscover this. And no, you don't have to live like a monk forever. But if you're serious about being more than just average, if you want high-performance habits, a warrior mindset, and a no-nonsense lifestyle, you need to reclaim your energy. Semen retention supports every trait of a high-value man. The world wants men weak, distracted, and addicted. Society knows that if men rise up, lead, and refuse to submit, the entire structure of control falls apart. Confidence. Retention builds it. When you're not giving away your power, your posture changes. Your voice deepens. Your eye contact becomes unshakable. You don't feel the need to impress. You naturally command attention. Focus. Retention fuels it. With less brain fog and distraction, you lock in on your goals. Business, fitness, relationships. You become surgical in your efforts. Ambition. Retention ignites it. Your drive goes through the roof. That same fire that once pushed you to seek out lust now pushes you to chase greatness. Emotional control. Retention strengthens it. You don't overreact. You don't spiral into anxiety. You stay composed because you've already mastered your strongest impulse. Respect. Retention earns it. People can feel the difference. Men look at you differently. Women respond to your presence. It's not about showing off. It's about radiating something deeper, something rare. This is why semen retention is not just about sex. It's about your life energy, your fuel for becoming the best version of yourself. The body wasn't designed to waste this force daily. That seed holds the blueprint for creating a life. Imagine what it can do when harnessed for building a legacy. And yes, science backs this up too. Retention increases testosterone levels, boosts dopamine sensitivity, and sharpens neural connections. It enhances physical strength, improves sleep quality, and reduces symptoms of depression and anxiety. Even your posture, skin tone, and voice improve. But deeper than all that is the shift in identity. You stop living as a boy and start living as a man with a mission. Think of it like this. Every time you choose to retain, you're making a trade. You're saying no to fleeting pleasure and yes to long-term power. You're choosing wealth over weakness, status over stagnation, discipline over decay. You're taking the same path that legends walked, and that makes you unstoppable. Semen retention is not a trend. It's not a trick. It's a return to what worked for the greatest men in history. It's the alpha blueprint, the foundation of a life that is rich in strength, purpose, and success. The world will keep telling you to chase more sex, more screens, more stimulation. But the wise man knows, real power is in holding back until the right moment. Real men don't chase. They attract, they build, they conquer. And if you're serious about being a high-value man, not just in words, but in action, semen retention is non-negotiable. It will be hard. You'll fail sometimes. But every day you choose mastery over impulse, you step closer to greatness. Remember, this is not about shame or fear, it's about power. The power to choose your path, the power to focus your energy, the power to lead your life instead of being led by your urges. So the next time temptation knocks, remember the alpha blueprint. Remember Napoleon preparing for war, Socrates sharpening his mind, Jesus walking in his purpose. And ask yourself, do you want to be remembered as just another man, or as a high-value legend in control of his destiny? The choice is yours, and it starts with retention. If you made it until here, leave a crown emoji in the comments. I'm doing a little experiment, and I want to see how many of you reach the end and are truly willing to finish what they start. And remember, live with honor or die a coward. Thank you so much for watching. Take care and stay strong.